Welcome to Stoppage Time with IPJ, my man, John Buckets. Buckets, you ran to the microphone today. You got a smile on your face. You got a spring in your step. You seem like a happy man right now, baby.
I'm a happy man for multiple reasons, Ian. The first reason, of course, is that I am in love. Oh, what a wonderful world we live in. Everything is flowers and cupcakes and rainbows. But the second reason I'm happy, Ian, is because I felt really bad when Bayern Munich lost 4-1 to Barcelona. I feel less bad now after watching El Clasico and watching Real Madrid do even worse than Bayern Munich. So kind of good news all around, it feels like.
More on that in just a minute in time, Buckets. I'm happy to see you happy. I'm happy you're in love still. I'm happy everything is going well for you in your life. The bets seem to be going well as well. So thank you so much for everything you have done in the betting community and what you're doing for Stoppage Time, because you, my friend, are on a bit of a heater here. I'm just going to fucking say it. So is Hot Cocoa on the TikToks and Instagram Reels. We're doing pretty well on the TikToks. We're getting way over 1,000 views. I don't know if that's good or not. 1,000 views seems good to me. So keep that going on social medias, everybody out there. So make sure you go and follow what she's doing on the Instagrams and the TikToks. Producer Jeff is doing all the shorts on YouTube. They're always out there. Also, as I'll explain in just a minute, we're having some live shows on X, formerly known as Twitter, which you can follow along on those Champions League weeks, which come back next week, Buckets. Before I get there, though, I want to talk about some futures, if that's okay with you.
I'd love to.
Okay, we got some bets coming in, obviously, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday coming up. If you're watching this show, make sure you go place your wager responsibly. But we also want to talk about the futures because things have changed, as Buckets just pointed out there. I want to begin in the English Premier League because if you look at what's happening at the top of the table, Manchester City have gone top on 23 points with the 9 games played. Liverpool 1 point behind them. And Arsenal have dropped 5 points behind Manchester City in the table. And as you look right now at the table, Buckets, who would you say is the betting favorite?
I would say that the betting favorite is Manchester City, but I would say my favorite is Liverpool to win the league, Ian.
All right, well, let's have a look at the futures because you are correct. Plus 120 for Manchester City. How about this for Liverpool? Plus 250 in the futures to win the English Premier League. Arsenal back at plus 275, 5 points behind Manchester City right now. Buckets, your thoughts overall on the futures for the Premier League right now as they sit?
I think it makes sense, but I still don't think Man City is as strong as they should be. I get why they're the favorite. It makes sense. It's Man City, but Liverpool has just impressed me so much this season already. I think Arne Slot is doing something special there, and I'm just saying plus 250, wouldn't be shocked if that hits.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm still on Manchester City winning the league, though, even though Rodri hobbled up to get his Ballon d'Or this past week. Congratulations to him individually. But at the same time, Manchester City are still winning games without Rodri now, which is something that normally didn't really happen. Now it's happening all the time. I just think it's too many goals that they're scoring. 20 goals from 9 games is insane. Liverpool and Arsenal both scored 17. Liverpool's defence, as Buckets pointed out, they're only 5 goals conceded, the best defence in the English Premier League right now. Second best defence, surprisingly, is Nottingham Forest. Let's go to the Bundesliga, Buckets, because your Bayern Munich are top of the table, but they got some challenge, and that is coming from Leipzig, not from Leverkusen, not from Borussia Dortmund. Unfortunately for producer Jeff's side, Dortmund are currently sitting in 7th in the table on 13 points. Bayern Munich sitting pretty at the top of the table, 29 goals scored from only the 8 games played, 20 points. It is a bit of a race because Leipzig are good, Buckets, but Bayern look pretty awesome right now.
Yeah, I think Bayern win this pretty easily. I'm going to guess they're still like a minus 400 to win the futures market. But I will say Leipzig has been impressive, Ian. And if you remember, when we first talked about the future show, both you and I said we would not be shocked if we saw Leipzig finish second. Lois Openda, Benjamin Sesko, Xavi Simons. This is a team that has so much talent and are still undefeated. Haven't lost yet in the Bundesliga. There we go.
Yeah, neither Leipzig or Bayern Munich haven't lost yet. You are correct that it's minus 390 for Bayern Munich to win the Bundesliga. But how about this, though? As we pointed out there, Leipzig undefeated plus 900 to win the Bundesliga. What? I mean, that is a long shot and a half if I've ever seen one. At any time, Bayern Munich could collapse with a new manager at the helm, especially challenging for the Champions League and trying to stay in the top 8 of the Champions League to get away from the knockout stages. Leverkusen currently sitting at plus 400. That's pretty interesting, Buckets.
That's weird to me that Leverkusen is such a high favorite ahead of Leipzig. I know we never want to talk about this, but we got to remember that injuries, especially in a congested season like this, when Bayern Munich have Pokal Cup, they have Champions League, they've got Bundesliga, they're 1 or 2 injuries away from really struggling this season. So I think Leipzig at plus 900 is probably worth a spell here.
Our buckets not only smart when the betting space, also creating new words. Slightly congested schedule coming up.
Conglomerated? Ooh.
Was that a German word right there? Let's go to the Italian Serie A. We got a surprise over there. Napoli, they are top of the table, 25 points. Second place, Inter have a game in hand on 18 points. Pretty interesting because obviously right now there's a real battle in Italian football. Conte's doing a great job at Napoli. Scored 18 goals from the 10 games, only conceded 5 defensively. That's probably why they're there. Juventus, obviously a crazy game against Inter this past weekend. 4-4 that game finished, and of course Inter dropped points. But it's still hard to look past Inter Milan, who are currently favourites to win the league at plus 100. Napoli at plus 225, though, buckets, with that type of an advantage. I mean, we're talking about, right now, I know Inter have got a game to play, but we're talking about a 7-point gap right now. The Inter and all the other teams have got to make up on. So plus 225 is not bad.
Not bad at all. I want to point out real quick that Juventus in 8 games had only conceded a single goal until I bet on them to be, what was it, both teams to score? No, then they conceded 4. That's fun. I really like Inter here at plus 100. And for kind of a sneaky shout, I still think this Atalanta team is nasty, Ian. I think this is a team that maybe don't win it, but if you can get them a top 2, type 4 kind of bet, absolutely for Atalanta.
Let's go to La Liga. It's Barcelona who are top of the table on 30 points, and after El Clasico, they have a 6-point gap above Real Madrid. Now, the question will be, can Real Madrid make up that gap? Because if you look at the betting space right now, Barcelona, minus 135. It's the first time they've been the favorite to win the Liga above plus 105 Real Madrid now, buckets. It's pretty crazy. 6 points is a lot to make up in the top of the Spanish league.
Yeah, I have no problem playing Barcelona at minus 135. I mean, I know we've got the recency bias of El Clasico there, that 4-0 beatdown, but Lamine Yamal, Robert Lewandowski, all these guys, Rafinha playing together, I think Barcelona win this. I don't want to say easily because I know Real Madrid is still Real Madrid, but at minus 135, I'm okay with that.
Just want to point out real quickly that Villarreal are third in the table on 21 points. They are plus 12,000 to win La Liga.
That.
So if anyone's looking for a Leicester City, there it is right there. Anything can happen. It is La Liga. And as usual, on our show Stoppage Time, that's the only leagues we really care about. Buckets, are you ready for a challenge?
No France. Yeah, sorry, I'm ready for a challenge.
All right, let's get to the best bets for this weekend. You know, it wouldn't be an episode of Stoppage Time if we didn't get you some wagers from our betting expert. That is, of course, the blonde bombshell, the betting unicorn, our main man, John Bucketsheimer. Welcome back, Buckets. He is hitting the big time. He's on a bit of a roll. And this time, Buckets, I'm looking for 6 best bets from you. I'm looking for 2 best bets for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for each day, obviously. And I'm wishing the listeners very good luck with this one. I want you all to bet responsibly. Buckets, on Friday, there are some tasty games to look forward to, including Leverkusen against Stuttgart, Lille against Lyon. We've got Major League Soccer playoffs, but I'm wondering where you're going to go for your first best bet on Friday.
I am taking us to a very tricky one here, Ian, in the English Championship. We're looking at Luton Town. We're looking at West Brom. We're looking at the Buckets Classic, both teams to score. And I know what every single person out there is going to say. They're going to say, Buckets, West Brom, the same team that's had 3 0-0s in their last 4 games, you're taking them to hit both teams to score? Shut up. Yes, I am. Absolutely. Because when you see Luton Town play at home, nothing else matters. I don't care if Luton Town at home is playing West Brom. I don't care if they're playing Real Madrid. I don't care if they're playing me, Jeff, Hot Cocoa, and IPJ just in a friendly match. You take both teams to score. Luton Town at home has hit BTTS in 18 of their last 20 games at home. Something about Luton Town right now just brings out, I don't know if it's the best or the worst in teams, but they just let goals go in for free. And this is a team that was in the Prem last year. And now they're struggling to stay up in the championship. They're 22nd out of 24 teams. They're going for goals, but defense is non-existent. Again, I know that West Brom doesn't score a lot, but against Luton Town, it just doesn't matter right now, IPJ.
Very interesting point right now. 22nd, as you pointed out, from 24 in the championship. From 12 games played, they've won 3, lost 7, scored 14, and conceded 20 goals, which is absolutely insane for a team that has just been relegated from the Premier League. Absolutely. And if you look at their home form, Buckets, they have won 2 from 6. They've lost 3 from 6. They've scored 10 and conceded 11. So yes, the statistics simply match exactly where you're going with this game. And I will say this, Rob Edwards is the manager there. He was at one point one of the more entertaining, and certainly in the Premier League, they didn't disappoint. They played at a really pleasing on the eye style of football. He was one well thought of manager that could go on and have real success. And now he's stayed with the club down into the championship. It's desperate, man. It's very difficult to be able to have success back to back to back to back. maybe it's time for him to move on at some point. But I know Luton will come good. They'll stay away from relegation. There's no doubt about it. But the games coming up for them are very difficult. And obviously the one against West Brom is interesting because I really like this West Brom side. They've got a wonderful player called Josh Maja. This guy is brilliant. Up top this season, he scored 7 goals from 12 appearances. He's had an interesting career. If anybody's watched the Sunderland Till I Die documentary, he was in that. He made a transfer to Bordeaux, who eventually went fucking bankrupt. He's now back in the Championship and scoring goals in English football again. So anytime goal scorer for Josh Maja would be a nice tip for me. Buckets, where are you going for your second best bet on Friday?
For my second best bet, we are going to the not Eins, but the Svein Bundesliga. Check out that German knowledge coming out of your boy Buckets here in the matchup between SSV Ulm, sounds right to me, versus Schalke 04. And I'm taking over 2.5 goals here at -120, Ian. I don't care what happens. Schalke, for me, is pretty much the Luton Town of the second Bundesliga. They are a good team that can score a shit ton of goals, but the defense is... I got to make up a new word for this because it's just that bad. It's Grvlad. I don't know what you want to say, but right now, Schalke, 10 games played. Scheisse! It's Scheisse, Ian. 10 games played, and you're going to concede 24 goals. But at the same time, you're going to score 19. Ulm's kind of playing this weird style where they're used to these 1-0s, these 2-1s, these 1-1s. They play a bit more defensive, but Schalke just brings out, again, the worst in teams. If we look at their recent games, in league play, a 3-4 loss to Firth. They had a 1-0 loss to Hanover, which was kind of a weird one. 2-2 to Hertha, 2-1 to Preuben Munster, 5-3 to Darmstadt. This is a team that, again, defense really is optional. They have the second worst defense in the second Bundesliga, only behind Jan Regensburg and Ulm. They're playing pretty good for a newly promoted side. I think we see a ton of goals. I have no idea where they come from, but if we ended up with another 2-2 or 3-2 kind of battle either way, Ian, I'd love it. Give me over 2.5 in this one.
I love the over 2.5, and it might actually happen in the first 45 minutes of this game. It's crazy, the second Bundesliga for goals. Just want to point out something important. No, Schalke play in front of 50,000 fans every single home game. Second division, first division, third division, it doesn't matter. The fans are loyal. The goals, though, at home from their 5 games at home, 14 scored, 15 conceded. Now, of course, away from home is where it matters. It's a lot less. Away from home, 5 goals scored from 5 games and 9 goals conceded in the 5 games they've played away from home. So a lot less goals conceded and a lot less goals scored for them. So I'm advising everybody out there to bet responsibly, but over 2.5 sounds pretty sexy to me. So I'm all for it. Buckets, let's go to Saturday. There's some big games coming up on Saturday. Of course, I'm looking for 2 best bets from you. Some of the games to look forward to: Newcastle against Arsenal. Borussia Dortmund are shite right now. They're at home to Leipzig, who are obviously undefeated on the season, and producer Jeff will be watching to see if they can get a big result. PSG against Lens in the league that we don't care about, and Inter Miami at Atlanta United in the second leg of their Major League Soccer playoff. But Buckets, where the fuck are you going?
Well, let me help out with our search engine optimization here. Lionel Messi, Inter Miami, Lionel Messi, Messi. There you go, Jeff. You can clip that for us. But I'm not going to the matchup because MLS has been shite in the playoffs, and I don't want to lose more shekels. I'm going to Serie A. I'm going to AC Monza taking on Milan, a.k.a. Christian Pulisic's team, Captain America, and I'm going for a fun one here, Ian. I'm taking AC Milan to score in the first half. Currently priced at -135, a little bit of juice, but Milan desperately needs to bounce back after that 2-0 thrashing to Napoli at home, which happened on Tuesday earlier this week. Not to mention, Milan has Real Madrid coming up just 3 days later after this Monza match, which means when you've got setups like this, Milan want to win this game early. They want to win this game in the first 45 minutes. They want to be up 2-0 at half, sub out everyone they can, and rest for the big game against Real Madrid. Monza is a decent side, but AC Milan is better than decent. They need a win here. They're going to come out aggressive here, Ian. And for them to score in the first half to be playable, I'll take that all day.
Been an interesting week for AC Milan. Obviously, they lost at home to Napoli, who are top of the table by a mile, and they lost by a mile in that game as well. It wasn't even close as far as I'm concerned. Come at me if you will, you Milano fans. But Milan on the road have been pretty disappointed. They lost against Leverkusen, where maybe they should have scored and possibly won that game in the Champions League. They then lost at Fiorentina in the league right after that. They had a game cancelled against Bologna, and at home they've been okay. So I'm really intrigued to see how they handle this Monza side, who in my opinion are struggling this season. Monza have been miles away from where they were last season. So far this campaign, their home form has been awful. 5 games played at home, 0 wins. The problem for them is scoring goals. 5 goals scored in 5 games, 7 conceded. They've lost 2 from the 5. So I'm intrigued to see where this game will actually go. Love a first half goal. I think it's pretty entertaining. Interesting story though from Ballon d'Or. Can I just say this real quickly story? So Rodrigo, he was obviously the winner of Ballon d'Or, and there was a lot of Vinny Jr. fans who were very pissed off with the fact that Vinny Jr. didn't win it. I saw on social media Brazilian fans crying. I saw Brazilian fans beating the shit out of their TV because the decision was made and George Weah did the announcement. People were unhappy. But get this one. Rodrigo is obviously Rodri, and Manchester City's Rodri. He's injured right now. But on social media, people went after, I think it's Olivia Rodrigo, who's the singer. And they attacked her on social media thinking that she won the Ballon d'Or. I think there was thousands of responses on our social media saying you don't deserve to win Ballon d'Or. Did you see that?
I saw that because they were attacking her and they were attacking Manchester City. So people are going after Olivia Rodrigo saying, Man City's shite, you're shite, you don't deserve it. I'm glad you got hurt. And she's just sitting there.
It's so funny. Olivia Rodrigo online abuse after Vinny Jr. lost Ballon d'Or to Rodrigo. It's just, you can't even write a script like that. It's fucking brilliant and how dumb people can be. All right, Buckets, let's go to Sunday. There's some big games, obviously, to look forward to on Sunday, especially in the Premier League. Manchester United against Chelsea. Ten Hag is gone. Ruud van Nistelrooy will be in charge for Manchester United, or will he? The big question is Amarin coming in as new manager of Manchester United? Still yet to be confirmed. It looks like Ruud van Nistelrooy will get his opportunity to be on a bench against Chelsea. Remember, he's a legend at the club as a player. We also have Spurs against Aston Villa. We've got Barcelona against Espanyol, which is a little bit of a rival game as well. Napoli against Atalanta to look forward to. And I think if Atalanta turn up, they can beat that Napoli team. Just throwing it out there. And then, of course, we've got the big one. New York Red Bull against Columbus Crew. Now, real quickly, Buckets, Columbus lost that first leg. Producer Jeff, he's pretty high on Columbus Crew. I'm just throwing it out there. But Columbus were pretty poor in that game in the first leg. They were at home against Red Bull. Red Bull played very well and actually won that first leg by 1-0. Now they go back to Red Bull Arena, where normally it's only half full. I think advantage to Red Bull, but Columbus need to turn up. That was a surprising result, right?
That was a very surprising result. I am going to be honest here and say that at halftime of that game, I told everyone, double chance, draw no bet, Crew money line, Crew are going to bounce back. There's no way they get clean sheeted at home. I don't want to say props to New York Red Bull, Ian, because I know your history there, but that was an interesting game. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I had to go on CBS Sports Galazzo Network and give props to New York Red Bull, and also admit that I never actually give props to New York Red Bull for the result, but I thought they were fucking brilliant on the day. It's quite incredible. And interestingly enough, if you look at the money line for the next game, New York Red Bull plus 115, Columbus Crew plus 190 currently as they sit right now, which is going to be interesting because Columbus need to win that game. They need to go for it. And of course, they need to take their opportunities to win the game. So watch out for a bit of a surprise in that match. I think Columbus can go there and win. They definitely need to. Otherwise, they are out of the MLS playoffs. Buckets, where are you going for your first best bet on Sunday?
Ian, before I give you this first bet, I want to pick your brain real quick because I know that you are a Man United supporter. Want to kind of get your thoughts here real quick. If you're not too tired of talking of ETH being out already, because I assume you've been all over Galazzo. Are you happy with the choice?
I'm happy with the choice. Very happy with the choice. It works for me, and I'm thinking that Van Nistelrooy will get his opportunity. I'm thinking that we will see maybe Amarin come in charge of the club, which is a big move from Sporting. We know how well Sporting play, but I'm okay with the decision. I think Ten Hag was there far too long. They should have got rid of him in the summer, and it was a missed opportunity. So now it's about making it up.
I agree.
Okay, now what?
Now let's get into our Sunday best bets because I'm taking us all back to the fine Bundesliga. Man, it's my favorite league to bet on because there's just so many goals all the time. The best way to possibly bet in the second Bundesliga is to bet Ian Paul Joy to get a card. But now that we've lost the ability to wager on that one, we've got to go after goals, and more goals, especially when you see FC Kaiserslautern taking on Magdeburg here, Ian. Both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at minus 130 all freaking day. If you look at the head-to-head history between these two sides, the last 4 games, we saw over 4 goals per match. A 4-1 win to Kaiserslautern, a 4-1 win to Magdeburg, a 4-4 draw, and a 2-0 win to Magdeburg. So that one did miss our bet here. But right now, these two teams are just playing for fun. They're playing that second Bundesliga style that I love so much. Kaiserslautern, 10 matches played, 18 goals scored, 16 conceded. Magdeburg, 10 played, 18 scored as well, 15 conceded. We are seeing that theme of defense being optional for some of these middle of the pack second Bundesliga teams, Ian. And I'm always going to take both teams to score and over 2.5. If it's ever less than like minus 200 when we see these sides play.
Kaiserslautern just got knocked out of the German Cup by Stuttgart. It was a great game. I think it was played on Tuesday. I mean, anything can happen in those games, buckets. And of course, the second division is a fucking shit show. Where are you going for your best bet number 2 on Sunday?
Best bet number 2. Let's go to what I think is the big one right now, who I think is one of the best teams in all of European football. I'm going to the La Liga clash between Barcelona and newly promoted side Espanyol. Espanyol, who are going to be hit with a baptism of fire as this Barcelona side is just running over teams right now. We've already talked about this multiple times, but they're coming off a 4-0 win over Real Madrid, a 4-1 win over Bayern Munich, and a 5-1 win against Sevilla. This team just isn't slowing down. We are seeing Lewandowski play how he did at Bayern Munich in La Liga. It took him a couple seasons to get there, but this dude's averaging like 8 goals a game right now. Maybe an exaggeration, maybe not. He's just that good. And when you've got Lamine Yamal supporting him and the cast that this team has, they can pretty much, as they've shown, beat anyone right now. So the fact that I can get Barcelona over 1.5 team total in the first half at plus 110, at plus odds for a team that might score 3 or 4 in the first 45 minutes here, Ian, I've got to take that considering how bad defensively Espanyol is right now.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Obviously, don't forget this is a bit of a rivalry game because Espanyol is located in Barcelona as well. So there's a point to be proven for the local fans around there. Goals galore, I would imagine. Barcelona just simply not scoring goals right now and not stopping scoring goals right now. They're just so deadly across any competition, any opponent, whoever they play against, they're scoring goals. Espanyol, as you pointed out, they're newly promoted, have kind of struggled and they're struggling for consistency. Lewandowski right now, can we talk about him? Because he is the leading goal scorer in all of Europe right now. He is unbelievable. Let's just face it. There's an opportunity for him to create history once again. He could be challenging for winning the Golden Boot in the Champions League if Barcelona go deep in the competition. Challenging for Golden Boot in La Liga right now. He should have scored a hat-trick in El Clasico. He hit the post from an empty fucking net 5 yards out. He's just still unbelievable. What a player, Buckets, and how he is in form right now. Certainly one of Europe's top players right now.
Yeah, he is. And it kind of bums me out to talk about him because I think of the good old days when he was playing in Bavaria and him and Thomas Mueller were hugging on the pitch after Lewandowski would score 8 goals against these poor teams that had to deal with them. But, I mean, credit where credit is due. It took him a bit to get adjusted to the La Liga play style, but he's just running over teams. 5 goals scored in his last 3 matches. I mean, he's kind of untouchable right now.
Yeah, I'm looking up the player futures right now for Lewandowski to win top goal scorer. Obviously, with him running away with it right now, he is minus 750 to win top goal scorer in the Spanish league. He's unbelievable. They're unbelievable. Buckets is unbelievable. Great bets, Buckets. Anything else you'd like to add before we get the fuck out of here? Because it's been a good week for you. You got a smile on your face, spring in your step, as I pointed out at the top of the show. Is there anything you'd like to add to the loyal listeners out there ahead of this wonderful weekend?
I would like to add to all of you out there to make sure, and I know that we talk about this a lot, but prioritize your mental health. There's more in this world than just betting and winning and cashing tickets. You got to make sure that you're finding happiness outside of the betting space, even if that happiness is watching me and IPJ yell at your faces for 30 minutes a couple times a week.
Next week, we're going to be back with a Champions League special recording on Monday morning. Hopefully, we get that out Monday night or early Tuesday morning before all the games take place. It will be played live on X, formerly known as Twitter. Producer Jeff's working his magic, as always, on the platform and YouTube Shorts. And you will notice that the production quality on YouTube on the show is simply world class. We love you, Producer Jeff. We understand you're sitting in your rocking chair with your pipe, relaxing, enjoying the world go by in the snow right now, apparently. But we love everything you do, and thank you for everything you do for our show. Buckets, I appreciate you, man. Have a great weekend. And to all the loyal listeners out there, please, for the love of God, bet responsibly, be smart, and as Buckets pointed out there, take care of the mental. Bet responsibly. That's also taking care of the mental. Please make sure this weekend, though, like Buckets is always going to do because he's in love, make sure you absolutely have it!